Down to the deep belows of Mordred and ring the second and final bell.
I hope you're ready, Joe. Because White Town is no joke, and the path there is known as the playthrough ender. Black Town. Okay.
I'm saying.
Type 9, you said, isn't that the upgrade material? I bet I can get enough to max a weapon from this guy.
Oh, for sure, Sleepy Joe. Go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can think it'd be distance.
Don't underestimate it. But looks like I got even fighting. What's that? We got doing Type 9 and choose to upgrade Boston. So it's all good. I'm losing the fight. But this kid, that was nice to know. There's a lot of songs that you did something beautiful right now. Not a phone, yeah, listen. Well, look at I, but how do I get to it?
So I'm actually going to be helpful here and telling you. Something probably don't want that. I just try to get it here in a second.
Yeah, that's what it is. That one is the first to have. It's like a rat.
Shit, Wolfell. Yes, sir. Relax. So,
That's actually a pretty base case, Johnny. We should have people comment their opinion on strength or endurance for equipment and soul games.
I agree. Comment down below. How should a good road look?
Okay, somebody stated from the boss that you said, that the boss is deal with it. And if we're selling it here, we'll be selling it for a later boss.
We have to sponsor that. Second word sponsor the game.
Down, it goes to John nursing, the stretcher sticks as the barrier,
Why don't you like kind of know about buildings? What kinds of things? Fast, reliable. Welcome back to the Scary Interesting. It's speaking of cutting off honestly, it's a tragic and terrifying incident. One of the worst possible things you can imagine happening to the inside a cage. As always, no discretion is advised. Quickly, before we get to the video, you may remember the Arctic Horror podcast I recommended on several occasions by Fool and Saw Productions called The White Balls. The response for that recommendation was overwhelmingly positive from the people who listened to it. So today, I'd like to introduce the little work called Don't Mind. Don't Mind is an anthology history podcast where each season takes it to a remote community and underlying mysteries around it. The upcoming season, called Sealskin Rock, follows a family that moves to a Canadian chateau located on the island off the New Brunswick coast. They've been hired to repair the building as they discover one of the island's museums. That makes the least rewarding. Don't Mind is also created by the same the white ball, the social sounds of actors, that is linked to the actresses and directors. Like, for example, Joe and Bridgerton, which is the co-star of the first season of Huxtable. And if you're a Mass Effect fan, Mark Lear, who plays Commander Shepard, is one of the co-stars of Sealskin Rock. And Don't Mind, Sealskin Rock will be releasing wherever you find podcasts on the Full Talk Productions YouTube on March 9th. But it is about the entire of the first of the Don't Talk Public. And follow them.
I mean, fucking God, come on.
It's locked as big and 9 feet ahead. Once inside the cave, beyond the man-made entryway, it opens up into a concrete room that then leads into a network of passages ranging from 3 to 10 feet or 1 to 3 meters high. Some of them around 2 o'clock of July 9th, 1967, teenagers Gary and Charles Dixon on the high individual Institute Park Gate. They're before they're but I would keep it the
No, fuck off.
Stand there with the three teenagers on the outside of us. This is water. Fire and smoke floors in the front station. And it's like this. Heal themselves from the smoke. They made the attempt to crawl through the inferno. Nancy led the way, followed by Charles and Jerry, but the intense heat forced them to retreat after crawling just 30 feet with 9 divisions of the pipe. After resting for a moment, they tried again, and this time Charles was first, followed by Nancy and Jerry, with their hands and knees scraping against the heated metal with the smoke thickening around them. Thus, Jerry then became exposed to the waters to die. It's not just those days. God. I can't take it after that. When the chaos traveled into some number 4 of the back, its cries that had been briefly above the ground, but its undecided the temperature gave continued to cool a bit now, beginning of 18 Celsius, but this did little to comfort them as they waited in the dark with their flashing over the each passing minute. Outside the cave, a black smoke pouring from the pipe caught the attention of the nearby resident, Simon Hale, whose wife quickly called authorities while he ran to the scene. The man slowly pressed the album. Bob held together and locked the bank of things. So help but and salvage survived. Firemen, enemy with unseen refuge, but those playing beautiful, was frozen. The bird While he rushed out, Charles, Simon's wife, called emergency services, and when Simon was ready, when rescuers arrived at the scene, Charles was ordered to an ambulance and rushed to the hospital, and although he had been through multiple flames that were the other side of the fight, he was feeling exactly the devastating toll. His body was covered in sand and dirt across the filthy layers of his skin. So, despite the medical setup,
That's a hard one, but it
Immediately after, 5 minutes left to begin a heavy fire at the concrete person started so clear. The metal pipe that was starting the entrance of the center was probably hot. While firefighters couldn't see exactly how the fire got started, it's close to that. Companies don't have different directions. Often are large different directions. You might expect David's mentality to settle much of the professional life, while volunteering, admirably geography survey, those forward and organized medical things, commentary, and excitability. And then when he wasn't able to work that place, he had a whole list of hobbies and interests that he was exploring in his retirement years. He learned how to pilot his own plane, he skied all over the world, taught children, wrote poems, and he created marine sanctuaries. One of his absolute favorite activities, however, was cave diving. Alfonso earned his cave diving certification in the U.S. and he was so experienced that he was considered one of the Philippines' top divers. He was the president and co-founder of the Filipino Cave Divers Group, and despite being old enough to retire, he was energy that Alfonso had climbed others a much younger man. After nearly 10 years back in his home country, when he was 62 years old, Alfonso uncovered his new particular passion when he and another diver discovered not one enchanted river underground cave. While this had always been popular with it was slowly discovered beneath the surface by Alfonso, the other diver, that draws divers from all over the world today. The Notch-1 cave is entered by diving straight down from the topside view. Then, once at the mouth of the cave, the entrance is so tight that only one diver can go at a time. But on the other side of the claustrophobic entryway, divers enter a massive, expansive chamber known as the Mayor's Chamber. This room is said to be at least the size of 2 basketball courts. The chamber floor sits at a depth of 171 feet or 52 meters, and on the far side of the massive room is another tight tunnel that leads back to a further 285 feet or 87 meters before the stairs to rise again. Where it goes after that, then we now the area is unmapped and unexplored, but it might go much further. Beyond its size and clarity, though, one of the hallmarks of this cave system is the current that often rips through the entirety of the cave. The extremely narrow passage that reaches the 285-foot mark is a current that's not unlike the suction of a powerful vacuum. This makes getting into the cave easy, but getting out is a completely different story. Conditions are just right during the dive. On June 17, 2014, the Filipino broadcast channel is ready to shoot footage of the Notch-1 cave for an upcoming segment of the show. Since camera operators aren't often certified cave divers, the channel asked the Filipino Cave Divers Group to assist with the shoot, and Alfonso was here to volunteer at the time for it. The plan was for the cameraman to enter the cave the next day, but Alfonso and 2 other divers from the group were not in the cave on June 17th, staged acrobatics inside and get together his general plan for the following day's dive. Alfonso, who was 68 years old at the time, was excited that day to be proud of the cave he discovered was going to be featured in such a popular show. But maybe more than that, his excitement also stemmed from the opportunity to dive into the cave again. Since he discovered it in 2010, this would only be his 8th dive at an object. So the 3 divers with stage tanks and tail lights became and all them took note of just how strong the current was flowing that day. They then entered the Mayor's Chamber and began the path to place an entrance in strategic places, both inside the chamber and beyond, which narrowed downwards on the far side. Then when they were done, they turned around and head back where they came to exit the cave. Immediately, though, they became aware of just how strong the current was that day. It took a lot of strength to swim against it, and while this was usually the case at beyond, it seemed to require much more effort than normal. As a result, the effort required much more energy. The 2 younger divers with Alfonso were able to make progress toward the exit, but the suction from the sump behind them was quickly getting to be too much for these 68-year-olds to fight against. As the 3 continued to struggle toward the way out, the 2 younger divers eventually made it to the exit and waited in searches of the entry pool for Alfonso when he never arrived. The details of what exactly happened to Alfonso are a closely guarded secret by the 2 divers in the working that day, but they did learn fully to eventually arrive at the cave and searching for him. Considering that there were no known air pockets inside the cave as time ticked by, the action to find him became more of a recovery than a rescue mission. Tragically, 8 hours after emergency services were called, Alfonso's body was found wedged in a tight entry tunnel at a depth of 131 feet or 40 minutes. It seems he had run out of air despite death in the cave. Alfonso left behind 3 children and a wife, his fondly remembered by all who knew him as a selfless medical professional and a courageous explorer. Infrared ostriches are clinically proven to alleviate the brain's effect.
for the rest of your mouth.
Yes, the blue project, your mouth fresh and crisp. In Western Ireland lies the small town of Gore, which is surrounded by picturesque Irish countryside dotted with farmland. Then, to the direct north of Gore is John Nolan's farm. On his property is an entrance to a cave that was once used as a community water well. Known as Polynora Cave is one of several systems in what's known as the Gold Lowlands, which is an area prone to flooding. This is actually why it's been such a good water source in the town. Even when droughts are flagged everywhere else in the country, the lowlands will be brimming with fresh water. Today, the unassuming entrance to Polynora Cave has several man-made steps and it's located beneath a large bird tree. Inside, however, as with many caves, is a twisting, turning labyrinth of tunnels, shafts, and sinkholes totaling an unknown number of miles. One cave diver, however, was committed to finding out the mysteries of Polynora Cave. When Arthur Kozlowski moved to Ireland from Poland in 2006, he'd only just discovered diving as a hobby. When he arrived in Ireland, however, he took a keen interest in learning cave diving for good reason. His new home is surrounded by hundreds of caves. Like, for example, in County Galway alone, where Polynora Cave is located, there are 66 known caves. But just to the southwest, County Clare has a further 259 of them, accounting for 38% of Ireland's total known caves. Suffice it to say, cave divers may have plenty of options to choose from, but Arthur just had an affinity for Polynora and the other caves of the Gold Lowlands. He was apparently such a patron that he named John pretty much considered part of the family. And despite his relocation, Arthur quickly became the most notable cave diver in Poland for years. And once he got the necessary training and certification, he began to set records, discover long-held secrets around his caves, and be the first to accomplish what others wouldn't dare attempt. In fact, he first modeled his good by whose go where others turned back. In 2007, just months after he completed his training, he did just that by being the first diver to complete first with a cave known as Hell's Kitchen to another named Robertson's Cave. Then a year later, he took on Ireland's deepest known cave and set a record there for the deepest cave dive at 338 feet for 103 years. But it wasn't the records that kept him passionate about cave diving. Instead, Arthur lived for finding the passages, particularly connections between systems. In 2009 and 2007, Arthur discovered connections that doubled the total length of one cave to 9 kilometers and extended another one up to 11.5 kilometers. And he was particularly prolific in and around Gore, where he spent at least 200 hours in the area's underwater caves. To put this into perspective, according to Arthur's cave diving instructor, the types of challenges he take on were into climbing Mount Everest or being the first to reach the South Pole. And as with many people who engage in these types of activities, he had to up the ante. The one he was taking on at Polynora Cave on September 5th, 2011 was so extensive that he'd been planning and looking forward to for 15 years. During his journeys inside the cave thus far, Arthur had located a new shaft that he was eager to explore, but it was a long dive that required all sorts of extra preparation. At 3 o'clock that afternoon, he stepped into the water of the Polynora Cave and disappeared with one support diver as a small team went down at the cave entrance. On the way toward the shaft, Arthur placed bottles of gas mixes that would help with the diversion on the way out. The dive plan from there was for the support diver who had much less experience than Arthur to assist in placing gas tanks before he returned to the circuit. Then, for the rest of the dive, Arthur would perform it on his own. Finally, when the tank was set, Arthur and the support diver parted in opposite directions. Per his diving plan, Arthur was expected back at the surface around 7 p.m., but he had more than enough gas to last him until around 9:30 in case of an unexpected delay or emergency. So when 7 o'clock arrived, Arthur still hadn't shown up, and no one at the surface was concerned. He left them instructions, with only raise the alarm if he wasn't back by 9 o'clock. As time ticked by, however, the support team's anxiety rose. 8 o'clock came without the sign of Arthur, then 8:30, then 8:45. As it approached 9 p.m., 2 of the support team members quickly geared up and entered the water while another called for help. Within moments of the call, the Irish Cave Rescue Organization, or ICRO, started mobilizing to make their way to John's farm. Meanwhile, the two support divers were making their own way deeper into the cave by following the guidebook Arthur had attached to the cave entry, but there was still no sign of it. The hope among ICRO initially and the support team was that Arthur had located the cave's air pocket, but the lower the chance of finding him alive. But unfortunately, without any other options, while waiting for these specialists to arrive, a third attempt to reach the enemy line was underway. This time, however, Arthur was successfully located. He was found at more than half a mile, or 850 meters from the cave entry, at depth of 171 feet, 8.2 meters below the surface. This was the furthest anyone had ever gone inside of the cave. Almost 24 hours after he failed to return from his exploratory dive, his body reached the surface. Unfortunately, it's not entirely clear what happened on his dive that day, since he was alone, but what truly happened that led to Arthur's demise is anyone's guess. Father Joseph Sikorski was born in 1908 in a small village in Poland, and from an early age he carried a quiet determination that would shape his life and even down a path of faith and sacrifice. He was ordained as a priest in June 1935 in his ministry of Visitation and Catholic in Warsaw, where the shadow of the coming war began to loom. After the invasion of Poland began in September of 1939 with a bombing campaign, Father Joseph rebuilt his church and provided solid instruction and shaping faith for his congregation. Within the camps that surrounded him, Father Joseph was a symbol of calm and passion, smuggling through fast guards, arranging daring escapes, and gathering funds to bribe captors. His network of resistance offered a lifeline to those who had all but lost hope. And for his admirable work, Joseph became the savior and target for many that returned, and as the war wore down. After World War II ended, Father Joseph sought to recharge his weary batteries in the Tatra Mountains, which offered beauty, quiet, and seclusion far from the chaos of the previous 5 years. By July of 1945, he arrived in Zachley, which is a picturesque town at the foothills of the mountains where his sister lived. And for weeks afterward, he slowly exploring the trails that spread through the valleys and cliffs, eager to sort of lose himself in their vastness and maybe find the true center of illusion. So in the morning of July 25th, Father Joseph wakes up tightly and set out with a guidebook tucked into his backpack. He promised his sister that he would get back in time for dinner, probably around 4 o'clock that afternoon, to begin his journey of solitude. The hours eventually slipped by, and the sun defined the mountains, casting long shadows across the valleys. But then, without so much as exciting in the distance, 4 o'clock came and went with no sign of breeze. Hours then went by without word that stretched into days, but for unknown reasons, the Tatra Volunteer Search and Rescue Service, or TOPR, wasn't notified of his disappearance until several days after Father Joseph departed. Finally, on July 30th, after receiving word of the situation, rescuers got to work scouring the valleys of Zachley, combing the trail of peaks, and climbing ridges where travelers were known to stray. In total, 8 expeditions were launched over the following weeks, but they produced nothing. Father Joseph had disappeared without trace. It wouldn't be until January of 1947, more than a year after Father Joseph vanished, that the mystery would come unraveled. A naturalist who was navigating a remote wilderness in the valley stumbled upon a human remains deep inside the twisting passages of the Nirma cave. This horizontal network of tunnels extends just 1 mile and is a maze carved into the rock in the passage the ship had brought them, forced its doors to stoop, crawl, and squeeze through their opening. For this reason, it was soaring and isolated, and it had already gained a reputation of testing the inexperienced gators by the late 1940s. Its temperature also ranged from 50 instead of the Fahrenheit, or 10 to 21 Celsius, and that's on top of the 100% humidity inside that makes the air heavy and replaceable skin clothing. And as you might imagine, the light also doesn't use the depths to the directly beams of lanterns and headlamps. The cave's reputation as treacherous is well known, and even today, visitors are advised to wear helmets, have multiple light sources, and bring extra clothing in preparation for its damp and claustrophobic interior. After the discovery of the remains, authorities were immediately notified to arrive at the location to investigate. In short order, TOPR was able to confirm that the body belonged to the priest. For Father Joseph, who was unfamiliar with his intricate layout and found the proper gear, the descent into Nova Cave's depths likely became a terrifying ordeal. He had just one light source with him, and after analyzing it, rescuers determined that it was partially broken before it came to the cave for some unknown reason. Then, at some point while inside the cave's depths, the light must have stopped working, leaving Father Joseph in the pitch blackness that it was impossible to feel his way out of. It's widely accepted that he passed away on July 31st, 1945, and that's what's noted on his headstone. But investigators believe it's possible his death occurred was July 26th, the day after he departed from his sister's home. The naturalist who found the priest's body came across it was 985.300 meters from the cave entrance. And based on this, Father Joseph would have certainly been forced to fall again or to counter wet conditions, soaking the head stone. With temperatures inside the cave that could drop as low as 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 Celsius, experts believe that the priest had no more than 12 to 20 hours to survive once his life down due to hypothermia. So in the end, his remains were contorted and pressed against the jagged walls, and by the time he was found, his clothing was little more than a tattered stain of mold. His wallet, although evidence still carried identification papers, the guidebook was found tucked in his bag. And to add to everything else, extracting his body was a harrowing affair as the mineral contents of the cave made removal nearly impossible. There was simply no way to get his body unless it was found, so rescuers were forced to dismember his remains and transport them out piece by piece. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. If you have a story suggestion, feel free to submit it to the forum down in the description. Also, in case you weren't already aware, you all listen to the audio. Alright, so today I continue my look at teams throughout the National Hockey League. Here let's talk about the Nashville Predators. Nashville was expected to at least be in the mix for a playoff spot, but it was obvious from early in the season that's not going to be the case, and it does not look like they're going to rearm this summer. There was a point last year where Barry Trotz talked to them. They might look to rearm and get back into the playoff hunt next season, but the moves made this offseason have not been those of the team who is on their way to getting back into playoff contention. Nashville, in fact, still has a lot of cap space, $10,160,039, according to Puck Media. So having over $10 million cap space means watch them. But they may very well be a team that takes on back contracts in the future, right? Maybe they're going to be one of those teams that's the third party, taking on cap space and all that fun stuff. But either way, there's a lot of depth in the organization, a lot of names in the depth part of things, but I don't know that the team is going to have any kind of bounce back, and I don't know that the team is not looking at next year's draft and thinking we might want to stop there. So, looking at their lineup, starting with Forsberg, 82 games, 31 goals, 45 assists, 76 points, giving me $8.5 million active since 2030. But for Forsberg, I think he'll be around the point per game again. I don't expect a lot of improvement. If I did, I would be wearing this guard, would I? I do expect this season probably to be kind of ugly for Nashville once we get the season preview part of things. We'll get into other things as well. But for this video, it's just basically here's where they're at. Looks like the league will not agree though. Now, Michael Bunting played well for them after the trade, 18 games, 5 goals scored, 69 points. However, his $4.5 million cap hit contract expires next summer. So odds are he probably ends up on the move at the trade deadline if they don't find a big team around or just decide with them. Bunting may very well bounce around the league a little bit for the next few years. Who knows? Cole Smith, there's always players who bounce around the league a little bit. Derek Brassard would be an example of a player that I thought might get some cylinder after the dot. So Bunting's bounced around a little bit. At some point in time, somebody has to play for more teams than the cylinder game. Now, Cole Smith, I like him as a third liner, a little bit of grit there. Lower. Does LaRue have more upside? I would think he does. How much, though? Would be a question I would ask with LaRue. Then down the middle, you've got Stamkos, $8 million cap hit until 2028. Interestingly enough, at the time that contract signed, it's a bargain, it's a great contract. Tennessee, no tax state, all that. But on that cap hit, doesn't look quite enough of a bargain. 82 games, 27 goals, 26, 53 points for Stamkos. I don't think, then you've got O'Reilly. Now, O'Reilly's name I expect to continue to be mentioned almost every trade rumor tied to Nashville. $4.5 million cap hit since 2027 for O'Reilly. 79 games since past season, 21 goals, 32 assists, 63 points. O'Reilly can do a little bit of everything up there. That $4.5 million cap hit should be very much the contract teams can absorb. Around the NHL, especially as you get closer to the trade deadline, don't be surprised when those rumors are out there. I'm not saying he goes anywhere. I'm just saying that he will be brought along because of the fact that he's seen as a winner, it's kind of players who can't get over the playoffs. We'll see what happens. Aaron Powell is back in Nashville. They can't move anymore. This Nashville can't move it, right? It's significant. $3.15 million cap hit for 1 year for Powell. 69 games, 11 goals, 10.
Yeah, idea.
Was 21 points for Howard this past season. So Howard down the middle, then Svechkov. Svechkov has some upside. 52 games, 8 full times, just 17 points. I think Svechkov's going to score a higher rate this season than that, and I think Svechkov's going to turn into one of those players. I mean, the first episode. Simply put on is more than an SUV. It's your plays in all the situations. His lifetime's going to be going up, his numbers will be going up. He might be a pretty good pick if you're going to do fantasy this year and you have to take somebody from national. That stuff could be a good sleeper. Then on the right side, you got Marcus on 78 games, 21 goals, 35 assists, 76 points. He only has a $5.5 million cap hit until 2029. So while Marcus on, his numbers were great. I remember when that contract was signed, that the rookie signed so low, and you're in the past this week, but Marcus those numbers line up to come back and $5.5 million cap hit. And the fact that it extends till 2029, it's like good numbers for dropping. I do expect Marcus so that he's over contract. Can have money will do it again. I think we get close to the 30s, and I think it's like close to get back to the 65 plus range. Then kind of actually said, currently, it's not like a part of the convention. It's actually still 80 and 68 games, and full 22 assists, 32 points. Eventually, we're definitely capable of scoring to this, and what he was flying at the bottom, he was playing on the side, he can't get the yet. But eventually, says doesn't have that side there. So there are three young players
Very well.
because still talent coming up from the front. Derek had a really solid season from the past year. I expect him back, but now what's 6 games, 1 assist. So that was interesting that the whole time that's better were really fast off Woods. Since these 3 are young fellows, we're going to be seen as a big part of the team going forward as likely athletic forwards as soon as this year. So there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of who's going to play where. When you look at the depth, there's that too. Ozzy Weisblad, 5 games with 1 assist in his appearances this past season. We got to think he's going to get into 4 games this year. The big up Lucchini. Kimmel has yet to come up and show what he can do at the NHL level. Rolston, Schaefer, let's read Schaefer there, part of the organization. Edstrom. So there's some good depth in terms of forwards, and there are some dark horses there who may end up being more of a force this coming season than we might.
What about I'm super excited for redemption. Last game I thought I was figuring things out. Hopefully I can start off well and never look back to get fitness.
Yeah, nothing else goes down last game. I think it's very close. Like
A lot more veins in there.
Slightly less than 2 bars of power in this shot. Of course, I'm set up in a prime position to complete this whole next play.
that only happened because we used the round.
What the fuck was that?
Shot from this angle is the way to go. At least I'll be able to complete the whole next turn.
I guess you will all complete this hole in a reasonable amount of attempts.
Back.
Except for George, that is.
Seriously, Donald?
Yep, deal with it.
Literally the first hole. Might be something in the That's just done. Let me show you how it's done. Unlike you, I won't aim straight at the hole. And I'm going to take it slow as well.
Oh, yeah, because that definitely is right now, George. I'm going to talk to George.
Okay, I've heard enough from you, Joe. Hurry up with your turn.
I'm just going to take the simple approach. Here.
Hey, man, I'm not judging.
Finally, I'm home from the hospital in my comfy corgi blanket hoodie in front of my new setup. I thought those doctors were never going to let me leave. The weird tests they were running on me and the things they were doing to me.
Joe, do that noise again and I'll send you straight back there.
No, please don't.
Obviously, he's kidding, Joe. But what do you mean by the things they were doing to you there?
Whatever it was, it can't be nearly as bad as what Dr. House did to me in the hospital after I got shot.
First of all, Donald, it is not a competition. And second, I'm 95% sure you hallucinated that. That's Dr. House. That's what's going to
All right, enough of my crackhead Goonerson. Let's just start slinging meth already. Oh, wow, speaking of meth, we're starting off in the Breaking Bad RV. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be sick as hell. Our product will be better than whatever the Salamancas could make, or whatever their gang name is.
That does sound fun, but I don't think we're going to make meth right off the bat. It looks like the tutorial is going to have us start off with weed here first.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I played the game a bit a couple days ago to see what it was about. I only did the prologue and a little after. I even made my character look like Obama for perfect realism.
Okay, Donald. Now, what the fuck do you mean by that?
I think you know exactly what I mean. I mean, come on, Barry. I'm expecting you to hard carry us throughout the game.
Nothing can beat doing the real thing, right, Obama?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I was expecting Joe to mainly be pulling off bullshit like this since he suggested this game. Don't even try to chime in on this, Donald.
I can't say I'm not surprised. This whole game is a feeding ground for jokes like that. But to expect Donald or Joe to let up is pretty futile, Barry. Just don't try to shoot.
Well, if you can just crank nuts to my way, everyone is called with a drums like wow, I didn't know they put this game. Those guns, those things, not fun. But I think I can feel that I don't want to face it for that. Also, yeah, I'm going to talk about Yeah, I guess that's on me for mentioning giving ice cream to kids. But to be fair, if Joe were to operate an ice cream truck, he would crash it into a ditch before he could even hand out a singular cone.
That or he just eats the ice cream himself before anything.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of colors here. I'll make 3. Why don't we get an ice cream tier list going, eh? So first off, we got...
No, sorry, Joe. As much as your infatuation with dairy products amazes me, I do not want the following hour to be nothing but non-stop ice cream gap. On second thought, I might not go to Baskin Robbins anymore. Might just get a McFlurry from McDonald's instead.
In typical Trump fashion, of course.
Know that the remarkable mountains way east and east-west collide in our shared passions. Our creative pursuits and here in some public where you too can discover the remarkable goes east meets west. Hello everyone, welcome back to Skip Everything. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 or 5 cases. One of these takes the really stuff very there. Then in contrast, the other 2 largest case and her. Well, as always, your discretion lies. If you enjoy scary, interesting hot topic, if you enjoy stories of humanity surviving, sometimes it's important difficult conditions on Earth. So today, I'll be introducing you to a story. It's a war fiction podcast, and it's Gen 7 with children for small money, like Bond. It's an audio story similar to Scary Interesting, where they full voice cast with international rescue repair team sent to discover the source, secret safe and a Antarctic research station. On their mission to become trapped in what it takes to turn to the world, also finish a number of shocking discoveries including ice. What makes the white ball particularly unsettling is that you from actually break the tip too much done with. As part of the skill state, the creators of the show also go through great pains to ensure the scientific which gets you're like, I think it's good. You know, the right thought,
Your boring fence. How are gorilla heading to be constructed adhesive? One of the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
Life affairs in 1999. The guy named Robert, his brother, friend of theirs, spent the night camp near Cape, Hermit Cave. The three of them were there to live in the Cave for the time. Hermit Cave is located some woodland market before it gets honestly, nothing else is living in. Because of the leftover mineral deposits, some of these are large and crystal mineral. Hermit Cave, however, is to exact opposite. The cave entrance is little more than a dirt cover wide. The rest of it is just as impressive. After setting the night camp nearby, the friend and his daughter brought the around where they could in particular, although the scope is full of good, right. But also because this goes to not to do it. It's like a fun do. This thing also does not have here. But also one of the go back. Also, this occurred. It was also working against simply fun. But either way, Robert was well. Eventually, Robert found that this was a bird. Then he got 50 people down on it. But then 50 that's the street. So, the fall. Robert's vanished. And down the police blood out. So after thinking about it, he decided to use the room. And hurdles blood forward down to the side. Anderson started from the stop. He was a little red. It was too late. So I told him he doesn't need anger. It's not a nice stuff. Even worse. It's not like the stakes on the way to tried desperately to fix it. His brother tried to run it around it. But no one listened. Rescue team, Caroline, last show we had. Then, several hours, the entire time they were able to see that. On top of that, which is usually different than several days. This makes flying by outcome more efficient, but obviously the sex the dog. Second, the first game. Much of this second. Yeah. It does. First stable direction. It's difficult to put in perspective just how daunting the mission was. Outside of chaos and Parsons right outside getting over. Don't attack with a I don't. There are emergencies. Around the same time, the rest of the had the quick check it out. Then you couldn't be very well. After the initial shock, you're not happy with everything. The boulder had caused catastrophic damage to his body, including many of his major organs. Even with immediate medical attention, a well-equipped hospital results John this definitely will take the that area of smoke and fire. It's 7:15. Despite the blind. So much so
Kristen's help, we've got that about one. He's not just respond to
Right. And about a year after worked with father. Good. hurried up the walk, ran back to college town, with no other option. His friend said, "That's what you have to cover. I'm not safe."
Welcome. What is it? Is it very okay?
The same thing. The first intention inspired me. Meanwhile, members of all the exams are showing that was featured out too. I said the most situation and no practice. Most good conservative. They was in the whole system of two friends that adjusting to life and others. By then, all of six months and both possibly brother and cousin at the same time. For the next 36 straight hours, the kid had 44 rescue hours. Like this. Driving with well, she and his partner dropped a depth line, which is a line of the radar. Apparently, this line got to a depth of 932 feet without ever touching the bottom. Finally, the surface called up. Your body is still up. If you made it this far, thanks so much for listening. That's enough. Link to the description, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.
I like to think about the long game. I don't try not to have the target
about that. Time to make something happen.
Oh, you definitely made something happen, Donald. You definitely ensured the fourth place finish. I always believe in the saying,
Dishes, gentlemen. Sadie's gonna come in here and check everything. What was last week before was washed?
Yesterday. Please take the stash.
Keep it.
Yeah.
Oh, I would say so. There would be a time. Yeah, the question. I just. Anything else you need? Sure.
Every day of that. The Dr. Jarvis is really I just, what the fuck was that shot? What goes through your brain when you do shit like that? I can't even comprehend because I'm not that fucking stupid. I don't know where I'm. Maybe Donald can comprehend that. Yourself, George? Okay, did you seriously just make fun of Donald when you pulled that shit, George? You're a big hypocrite, you know that. Well, that's fine. I'm still going to get first place. Yeah, I don't know about that, George. Hey, what? Did your dumbass forget that you were only up with the Barack? You've been saying that you're going to get first fucking place this entire time, but it looks like you're going to choke that shit away. Fuck off, Donald. You're not even close to first place. I at least won a game. Can you say the same thing? Back. All right, Donald. Enough talk. Let's see what you can do. And once again, Donald doing his dumbass shit. Might as well just call it dumbass Donald at this point. Then what should we call you, George? I don't know, either way, first place. Call it